Okay, to speed things up a little bit today, I'm instead of doing a video about skills covered and going through those, I'll try to go through them as we're going through exercise 18. So exercise 18, we're starting with the first part on page 95. So you should be following along with the textbook. Turn to page 95 so that way you are on the right part of the exercise. So page 95. Step number 1, start publisher if necessary. We've done that. Step number 2, open pub 18. So I have it in my recently opened, so I'll click on that, pub 18. It says here save it as 18 flyer underscore your initials. This is part of step 2. So I'll save it in my folder where all my exercises are. 18 flyer and then my initials. Okay, so I have this file here. First thing I'm going to do for step number 3. So step 3, copy the text from the gold gold background pull quote box, the one that has sitting on and continues to the clipboard. So let's copy that text. So I'll select it, Control C, copy it, and then it says here delete quote box. So I'm going to do that. Next step is create a new text box in that spot. This is step number 4. Create a new text box in that spot where it was and paste the new text into the new text box. So I'm going to create one about the same size and then paste. Now here what it says for step number 5, it says click at the beginning of the pasted text and press enter as many times as needed to center the text vertically with the new text box. I don't want you to actually do that. Instead, something that's newer with it is the control that you can have. So we have alignment tools with left and right and justified. Here it gives you a little bit more control. So you should be text box tools, format tab, and over here's my alignment options. And I want you to choose to align the text directly in the center. So it's lined up perfectly in the center. Remember, this margin line won't print, so it'll be even, and I'm good to go for step number 5. So don't press enter multiple times, just choose alignment center there. Alright, and then step number 6, apply a 2-point dotted dark green accent 1 scheme color border to the new text box. Now, instead of referring to it as a border, you're going to want to think of it as an outline for the shape. So this is dealing with the text in the text box, but I want to mess around with the settings for the actual object, the text box. So under drawing tools, I'm going to click the format tab. Make sure your object is selected, otherwise it won't have this tab up here. And I'm going to choose shape outline, which is basically our border. So I need to apply a 2-point dotted dark green accent 1 scheme color border to the new box. So first let's select our colors. So green, I need accent 1. So here's accent 1 right here. I click on it, and then it says 2-point. So I need to go down to the weight. So this is how thick the border is, and select 2-point. Just do 2 1/4 since that's what is in the pre-selected one. Alright, so step number 6 completed. Step 7, apply the same dark green accent 1 scheme color as a fill for the text box. So we just did the outline, the border of the box. We're going to take care of the shape fill. So click on shape fill up here, and then you're choosing the same color. So I'm going to click on that accent 1. And then set its transparency to 85%. The way you change the transparency is in Shape Styles group. You can see this button right here. I click on that. This is where you can fine tune it, and my transparency controls for it for the fill are going to be right over here. So here's my fill color, and then transparency, it says needs to be 85%. So I'm going to select the 0, type in 85, just like that, and then press enter. And you can see it now looks different. It's how it's supposed to be. So moving on to step 8, select the pale gold background pull quote box so that the selection handles appear around its outer border that are gray circles with the X's in the centers. Now this is a little bit different with Publisher. If you only click and select it so that the white ones appear, when you apply a border, it'll only apply it to certain parts. If you wanted to apply it to the whole object, so you have a text box, you got shape, what you have to do is you have to click more than once until the little circle you can see with the X's appear. So now those are there, and now I can continue on with the rest of step 8. Or excuse me, step 9. So this is step 9. Choose fill effects for its fill. So fill effects for its fill. So let's just actually, and on the tint tab, choose a 70%. So tints, and we're going to choose 70%. And click OK. Although one thing you will need to do is, let's actually go back a step. One thing you will need to do is use the sample fill color grabber. So right here, sample fill color, click on that, and it's going to make this thing pop up. Click right here, and then now that that color's chosen, go to tints and do 70%. So excuse me, do that step first. So shape fill, sample fill color, get that sample, and then change it to 70%. You see, you can kind of see there's a little bit of a difference there to it. So let's click on that, make sure it's set right. There you go. Alright, and then step number 10, select the coupon box so that the gray circle with X selection handles appears around it. So here's the coupon box. I click twice. You can see there's those gray circles now. And change its dash style to 3-point square dot. So I'm going to, now that I have it selected, I'll do shape outline. Make sure you choose black first off since you're going to need a color. And then for shape outline, go to dashes, and let's just go with this one right here. And there you go. Now you can see the coupon's different, and it's set up how it needs to be. Now I'm going to save it, and then it says for step 11 here I need to print. So make sure you print that PDF. So for this exercise, you're going to have 2 files, the publication and then the PDF. So I'm going to print that quickly. Make sure you save it with the exact same name as what you did this part of the exercise, or name this part of the exercise. And now I have it. Alright, and I've saved it and I'm good to go. So let's move on to page 96 and complete the on your own part of the exercise. So I'm going to create, I'm going to open up. It says here for step number 2, OPUB 18. So I have it in my recent files. OPUB 18. You can see I have a lot of different text boxes. Now what you're going to do is basically step 3 is the whole thing. You need to apply a different border and fill style to each of the text boxes. So a fill style to each text box, and a different border. So each one will have a border and a fill style. At least one dashed border, at least one border with a width of more than 6 points, a different color for each border, a different color for each fill, at least one fill uses a tint, and at least one fill set to more than 0% transparency. So what I'd recommend first is just go through each one and select a fill color and then also a border, and make sure you're doing a different one each time. So I'm going to choose that, this. It doesn't have to be specific, but you do need it to make it different. I'm not worried as much about contrast of the text, but I do want to be able to see that you actually are using different colors is the main goal. So I should be able to see that. So I'm going to go through, put the different colors first. Okay, and then it says here at least one dashed border, so I'm going to click on one, shape outline, dashes, and you can do pick one like that. Then you can pick a different one, at least one border with a width of more than 6 points. So shape outline, weight, and you're actually going to have to go and click on more lines so you can fine tune it, and lines down here, and then change the width. So I'm just going to select the text and do 7.5 and click OK. So now you can see very a wide border, and then at least one fill that uses a tint. So I'm going to click on this one. For the tint, remember you click shape fill, tints, and then choose one of them. I'm going to choose a brighter color. Click OK, and then at least one fill set to more than 0% transparency. So I'll click on this one. Remember, to get to transparency, you click on this button right here, the Format Shape button, and then your transparency controls are right here. And I'm just going to click the arrow, hold it down, let's go with 35, and click OK. Now yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine. I just went quickly through it and did it so that way you can see how to do each different step in case you didn't know. But as long as you follow the steps, it doesn't have to look the exact same way, but I should be able to tell that you followed all the steps. So step 4, save your work. So File, Save As, and I actually skipped this part of the exercise. It's technically step number 2, and I need to save it as 18 board underscore and your initials. So make sure you do that, 18 board underscore and your initials, and you've just completed exercise 18. Don't forget to pause if you need to for each of the steps as you're continuing through with them. So you're submitting to me 3 files: the publication from first part of exercise 18, the PDF from the first part of exercise 18, and then the publication from the on your own part.